Hello, good evening and welcome. And today we are talking about rock sliding and the danger on the Ebri Road. Now, it's one of the most beautiful roads to drive on, and especially if you're a motorbike rider, it's one of the best roads you would ever want to ride on. Ride to the left, to the right, and just as you make your ascent, the breeze gets cooler. But all this while, there's a danger looming if you're going up on the hill to your left. And what is it? Falling rocks. However, you realize that there are activities right at the edge of the cliff. People are building their beautiful houses. Should they indeed leave a bit of space? Or is it safe to build? I mean, after all, the Bible says if you're building on a rock, how safe could it be? But then aside, there's the human activity where people are literally stone-winning the same cliff. And they're not even hiding it. They have the audacity to come and pack the rocks right by the end of the road to sell it. And guess what? Right from the president to the lowest common denominator, if there is such, drive by it every day and we don't even blink. When is this cliff going to come crumbling down? Joining me on the phone later will be Hans, who is an architect who lives right by opposite Peduase Lodge. So he drives by it every day and he's been complaining. There's also Nana Yawakoda, who is also a safety expert. But with me in the studio is my own senior brother, Nana Ano Ameya. Nana, you're welcome.
It's a pleasure.
We're talking safety as well within your jurisdiction.
Yes, absolutely.
Very good, very good.
Absolutely.
My name is Nana Sakwa, and this is PM Express. Stay tuned. Right after the break, we are talking how do we do to make sure a danger does not befall upon us. Well, the danger ahead and the rocks that may potentially slide. And we are talking particularly when you're climbing up the road to Peduase Lodge, to Ebri. But even though, I mean, when you are driving up to Kasua, even though that's not on the table, but why shouldn't it be on the table? Heading towards Kasua, you have Weja on your right, and then to your left, there's a major sand winning going on. And people building right on top of the sand winning. And then you just come to think, when would it, before the houses on top come crumbling down? Indeed, there's this particular foundation that's literally hanging because all the sand underneath is gone. I focus on the Ebri Road because that's where we've seen some rocks tumbling down. And how dangerous is it? Is it just going to be the old rocks falling, or could it be more severe than that? But I'll start with my brother in the studio, Nana Ano Ameya, who's a safety expert and has been jumping up and down on safety, because somehow we are losing our touch for the phrase that says, isn't it all about life and death? Because you realize that is at the point where of your existence you protect life at all costs. But Nana, somehow we're losing that.
Yes, we've lost that already. And I mean, if you look at our traffic population, we only have officially, about 1.2 million vehicular population. Mm-hmm. But if you look at the statistics, we are killing over 2,000 Ghanaians on the road year in, year out. So there must be something we do.
It doesn't add up, does it?
At all.
The mathematics doesn't add up. 2,000 out of this number of cars.
That is official.
You know, somehow, the general assertion is that, there are too many cars in Ghana, but there isn't.
There aren't. I mean, give or take, if you take the official record as 1.2 million, then give or take add 10%. I mean, you're looking at about additional 130.
Let's say 1.5 million.
1.5. But the number of people we're killing on the road, it doesn't add up, as you said. But it's all due to the road environment.
I think maybe to put it in perspective, if you take somewhere like the UK, the population of about 52 million.
No, close to 70 million now.
It's close to 70 million now, yeah. And they have about, what, 30 million cars?
Yes.
So
and the statistics there is about 1,800 casualties.
So per their cars
not even
and
talking
their
about
number.
fatalities. The 2,000 I'm talking about is fatalities, not casualties.
Wow. Wow.
So the in a year, we're talking about 15,000 casualties. And then out of that, you have 2,000 fatalities year in, year out. I mean, the decade plan of action, as announced by the United Nations in 2011, that was asking all countries with high fatalities to reduce them by 50% by year 2020. And we are rather adding on to the numbers. 2011, we were 1,760. Now we've inched up to 2,000 plus.
We're going the opposite direction.
Yes.
Now let's look at the Ebri Road. Now I know you are, Nana is also a biker. So we're all going through a sort of midlife crisis. I'm a secret biker too. I'm a secret Okada man, if you can say. Now, one of the best roads to ride up is the Ebri Road. No potholes, good tarmac, and you just, fly on the road and, slide to the left and right as you ascend this hill.
Say that again. And that has been also dualized. Mm-hmm. When the recent past government, when they thought of doing up Peduase Lodge, I mean, they always say that a motorway leads to a city. Mm-hmm. So if you have a presidential facility up in that mountain and you go and rehabilitate it, it looks so beautiful and what have you. And then the road that was going up to it was horrible. You remember?
Oh yes.
2000
It used to be a single lane.
A single lane, and was treacherous to ply with it. I mean, when you're riding, you want to bank, you're banking into the crash barrier and stuff like that. Or if you're not careful, there wasn't even a crash barrier.
No, there wasn't.
You were going to triple over to the other side. But that has been done beautifully, and it's been dualized. But, you see, we're just a country who we don't cherish things. We don't look after things because of the lack of maintenance culture that we have. When we do things, we think that those things are going to look after itself. But they don't. I mean, that's why we have the word maintenance, isn't it? Mm-hmm. We have routine maintenance, we have general maintenance, and what have you. But let's go to the rocks that you're talking about. Mm-hmm. You see, as a people, the district assemblies, they are solely responsible for development. But one would have thought, once we had a Peduase Lodge, the right-thinking people would have thought that we want to really put up all the nice villas and make it like, something like close to Quinta de Lagos in Portugal, where that place will be zoned. And as you're going up the hill, it will be so beautiful with the rocks and all that. But we go and do a road through a rocky hill terrain where the rocks there are not granite. They are sedimental rocks. And sedimental rocks, when they are open to the weather, it will weather. So one would have thought they would have they use engineering stuff like gabions, where you see, on the M25, mm-hmm. You see that some part where they've cut through the road through rocky areas and stuff like that. They do what the gabions, it's like a mesh. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Where they put them there and they put grass in them. And some of the time they are even diamond-shaped and square-shaped. Mm-hmm. They look so beautiful, just to decorate the environment and have a beautiful land. Yes, and hold the roads at the same time. But what did we do? Of course, we cannot compare ourselves with the UK, because that was just an economic road. I mean, looking at it, I would believe that if they wanted to do that, the cost of the project would have shot up the roof. So it was.
You see, even if it couldn't have been added to construction of the road then, I mean, it's been over some time now that even if every year we decided to do just 2 kilometers of these mesh and grass,
the gabions,
the gabions, by now we would have got into the top.
Yes, it tells. But now you look at Peduasi Lodge when it was refurbished, and look at it now. You go there, then that will tell you the sort of mindset that we have in Ghana with maintenance culture totally out of the question. So
I just want to let listeners know, viewers know, that I had Norbert Kwamo, who's a PRO for Ghana Highways, but he did not, I said he wasn't going to talk to us until there was a, I think, press conference tomorrow before he talks to us. But we invited him to, being that they are responsible,
yes,
they invited him. But what I'm doing is I'm going to take a break now. When we come back, we'll play some excerpts of the rock that are falling on the road. And also we have a resident, Hans, who's also an architect in the area. And he drives up and down the road every time to also tell us what they have observed. And then Naya Akoda will also join us on the phone. We're coming back.
Since last month, we've been faced with this rock slip in that section of the road, and we have taken the necessary evaluation of the situation, and we presented a report to management for management to take some decisions as to what to do. Actually, the rock surface there, the angle of incline, that is, if you look at it, the inclination is towards the road. The rock surface seems to veer towards the road downward. So it's a little tricky. If we go tampering with it, virtually the whole road will have to be closed. But what has come down now, as I said last time, we are leaving it there as a way of choking the rest of that section that has come down. So that's the situation now. Fortunately, there is a little space left for vehicle to meander around, and that is what we are retaining now. And we are still talking to the Kwapim South Disassembly to try and discourage people who are undertaking development projects, buildings and farming and those things on the side of the road, side of the hill, upwards, so that it doesn't disturb the vegetation. If the vegetation is left as it is, it will protect the surface of the rock and prevent further slippage. But we are also thinking that if it comes to the technical aspect, we may have, in fact, I'm saying that we may have to sort of expand the angle of the rock surface, in the sense that we'll have to break off further into the hill, so that the angle of slope will be wider, so that when it slips, it wouldn't be that serious, and we have to get a toe or a retaining wall at the foot of the hill, so that if there is any slippage, that retaining wall will retain the rock slip. There's the disturbance of the rock surface, which is really exacerbating the problem. We may have to widen the angle of slope of the hill surface. We may have to widen it so that the inclination is not that too sharp, and if there is any slippage or any landslide, it won't be that massive. It wouldn't be that massive, and then we'll have a retaining wall.
So that was an interview with Norbert Kwamo, who's a PRO for Ghana Highways Authority. And obviously you saw from the pictures the potential danger. I mean, he was talking about retaining wall. I wonder, I mean, you would have to probably build the Great Wall of China if the weight of that, rocks are coming down. I wonder what would retain it. But joining me on the phone now is Hans, who's an architect and lives directly opposite Peduasi Lodge. So that's his route on a daily basis. Good evening, Hans.
Good evening.
Hans, thanks for joining this show. And we are talking about the danger of a rock slide, and you, I know, have been complaining about some of the human activities going around on there. If you can shed a bit of light on it for us.
Yeah, well, the development on both sides of the road is a bit worrying. I mean, usually the highways would be done from the middle of the road where development should not occur. And so highways and town and country planning should be sitting somewhere together and making up, rezoning the whole area, because the amount of work that has to, and the civil, what you call the highways has to undertake to retain and stop this slide is massive. So what should be done now, in my opinion, is that we should rezone the whole place and let all developers go further back by about 100 meters. Then we can start talking about how to secure the rocks from any more slides. But having said that, I mean, the road used to be a two-way, one up and one down. And then during the, I think 10 years ago or so, they did a dual carriage. And I do walk up and down that road very often, and I drive down there. Well, you have people winning stones on both sides of the road. It was, if you're going up the mountain towards the Bree, the winning is done on the right. Initially, it was being done on both sides. I think the highways got the police involved. They stopped them doing the left side. Now they've moved to the right.
Wow.
And people actually buy these stones and use it to build their homes within the vicinity. Having said that again, have homes as close as, say, 10 meters to the edge of the road. And I mean, I wouldn't put my house next to such a road. For instance, a lot of cars come downhill and they lose their brakes. There have been so many situations where they have actually gone over the embankment, gone over the median and gone to the other side. So I wouldn't put my house anywhere near that road. I'll give myself enough distance. Yes, so basically that's it. I think your colleague summarized what is actually happening on the mountain, up on the Bree Road.
I see. I mean, so I know you're talking about moving 100 meters back, but I've seen houses where there's been, I don't know what to call it, whether erosion or the rocks have literally fallen down right to the edge of the foundation. There's this particular building where the rocks have really caved out to the foundation, of the building on top of it.
Yeah.
Now, so what would have been the norm to move back 10 meters, 50 meters? What would have been the norm?
The carriage.
Hans, if you can position yourself, because I'm really losing you.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Can you hear me now?
I think it's better, yes.
What I was saying is that property you were talking about was there before the road became a dual carriage.
I see.
Okay.
And I wrote an article in the papers that they have to start thinking about moving people away from the edge of the road.
I see.
And move them away. You see, the problem in Ghana is that lands are sold before town and country come in to the market. You get me?
Yeah.
So you have a situation where when the road comes in later on, you find out people's homes are too close. What the government must do then is then buy them out and ask them to move away, because the road is a more important thing than your home or your property that you're putting next to it. If you're driving down towards Accra, there's one guy whose column is another, 10 meters from the edge of the road, and he has had to reinforce that column because I think he's having problems with the heavy vehicles driving up and down. He's having structural problems with his building.
I see.
So those properties are there. Sorry for them, but they must be told to move away. We cannot suffer because of a few guys who have decided to build so close to the property, to the main road. It's not allowed anywhere. Anywhere in the world would you allow, unless of course the embankments have been stabilized, like your colleague was saying, and then the buildings that are being put there are supervised by experienced engineers and say, okay, it's okay to put this property here, and then supervised and then done there. But all the properties that are coming up, I don't think the district assembly or the town and country planning or whoever the institutions are have actually followed to find out how these properties are being built.
Thank you very much for that. That was very insightful. No, I mean, the one thing he mentioned was vibration.
Yes, vibration. Yes, that's why
we don't normally take into account.
No, it's not for anything that the motorway, that Tema motorway, that we had 300 yards, 300 feet reservation on either side.
Vibration.
Because vibration if you know what the damage vibration do to the foundation of your building, you have no idea. Over a period of time, if you go and do a UT scan on the building, you see the damage that the vibration has. And it's also harmful to human beings. So you just cannot live within 300 feet of the motorway with all these juggernauts plying the road back and forth and what have you.
I think one thing which is really, I don't know whether to say selfish or wicked of us, is to go and buy the stones right from the side of the cliff to go and build your house, knowing very well where they have come from. So basically, you are giving him a reason to go and win some more stones.
You see, as if this country we are sort of sadists, you know. We like to do harm to ourselves. Or is it out of ignorance? Because as Hans said, I mean, I don't know, it would be somebody who probably do not understand the what do you call it, the activities of living by a cliffhanger, by a roadside where there's movement. You know, these are sedimental rocks, and there's movement. You know, the earth is moving all the time. So as it's moving, and then when they've cut through this terrain, they have destabilized the rock formation. So there are loose patterns, and as you have a constant movement of the land, of the formation there, naturally it will affect any building that is putting weight on top of the,
especially to the edge of it.
I mean, anything within 100 feet or whatever will have an effect on the road.
We have Magnus Kwashi, who's the president of Ghana Institute of Engineers, and I think he's done some work or spoken to this issue too before. Good evening, Magnus. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, Magnus.
Good evening.
Well, welcome to the show. But we are talking about the potential danger looming around the corner, which is rocks sliding down the Abri Hills. And we know you've expressed concern about this issue before. What is the way forward for us now?
Well, so sorry, I don't have the opportunity of having your modem or whatever, so I have not had the opportunity to listen in. But well, it's a phenomena. I believe your other contributors may be explaining. That may either be natural or artificial. Okay, and in our case, you recall that we have to actually do some rock blasting to, as it were, obtain some amount of right of way to be able to construct the road. So certainly what then happens is that you may have some loose rocks, which at the point is not clearly observed. But what we should be doing or should have been doing, you know, is to, from time to time, as part of our maintenance, been monitoring, you know, what the geology looks like. This phenomenon, honestly, in some countries is very prevalent. If you go to Korea, because they have mountainous areas, it's very prevalent. But in our case, we should be monitoring from time to time, you know, in anticipation that just in case there are some loose pieces of rock.
Magnus, but here you are talking about monitoring, but right at the edge of the cliff are stone winners who are winning from underneath the cliff and bringing it on the verge for us to come and buy, to go and build our house on top of the hill to even make the matters worse.
Well, it's unfortunate. You see, it's really unfortunate where we don't, in this country, it appears we don't want to enforce anything. We don't want to complain when things are going wrong. So it's so bizarre, you know. But however, you did ask the way forward, and I must say that it's obvious you have to get serious this time around, you know, to be able to, as it were, ameliorate the situation, because it can result in serious problems, loss of lives, and so on. I mean, in the event, even if it doesn't hit somebody, the reflexes that it can give to would-be drivers and so on to swerve can all create serious problems, you know. And so we need to attempt to do something. And there are quite some interesting engineering methods for dealing with this. Okay, one of them, but it all boils down to, like I said, doing consistent site visits, checking. So we must have maybe some geologists who specialize on this, within the Ministry of Roads and Highways or something, constantly doing either once a year or every 6 months, maybe too expensive, but checking these things so that where there are loose materials, depending on the mass of the rock, we can do what we call rock bolting, where you actually use there's some pins that they are
literally bolts the rocks together.
You rivet the rocks, so that they stay in place. Or we do what we call shotcrete, where you can use concrete to actually help bind the moving rock even to the others and so on. So there are a few methods that you can actually use to do this, and then in some places they are using what we call geosynthetic material. This material looks net-like, okay, but then you place it on the rock surface, and they are pinned properly, to stay, and then they do hydroseed. Then they can pump some seeds, of creeping plants, so that they can just hold the rocks in place. So these are a few methods, we can actually use to prevent this. But we seriously, as a people and as a nation, like you said, must be very ruthless with regulation, because people seem to be doing whatever, anywhere, nobody cares, and in the name of we don't have work. So even if they have to destroy a road, they don't care. It's all over. But I think we seriously must look at this.
Well, I think so too. Probably this is not for you to answer, but the number one, gentleman in the land, that's where he goes to holiday. So he drives up and down, and if he hasn't complained, who are you, Nana, to go and tell them to move the rock? When the president just drove by, he didn't say anything. If you come, I'm not going to move. No. So the indiscipline setup is rife within the culture.
The impunity is too much. You have a presidential facility. So don't you have any regard for presidential facility? You see, the other way of talking to other colleagues is that, you see, when they did that road at the time when the Beduasi Lodge was refurbished, they created an alternative road, that is the Dome Berkusu Kitasi Road, so that you do not put so much pressure on this road because of the rock formation and vibration, or also some of the loose rocks can, over time. So there was a Dome Berkusu Kitasi Road that was created as an alternative. But, because we have a presidential palace there or facility there, in the event that they have to close that road because of security, what happens? So nobody can access Aburi, but the Dome Kitasi bypass there was done beautifully at the time when the road was being constructed. But now, I don't know whether you've passed there.
It's horrible.
It used to take me, I have a small farm just at Ayim Junction, a palm tree farm. So I used to visit there quite regularly. Now, from my place, West Legon, to that place, it took me about 15 minutes. And now, in a 4x4, it takes over an hour, because the road is completely gone.
And the Kumasi road got, obviously wasn't done. So people were using that Aburi road. That must have doubled the vibration. Have I still got Magnus? Hello?
Hello.
Magnus, the Kumasi road that got damaged, so obviously, the diversion was Aburi, and then you come via Koforodia. That must put a lot of vibration on the road.
You mean the Aburi road?
Yeah, the Aburi road. Because of the Kumasi road, road not working, most of the cars were coming through Aburi to go to Koforodia. So that would have doubled the traffic, hence doubling the vibration.
Well, I cannot say for certain, but certainly it could also contribute to the impact. Okay, but like I did mention, you recall that we did blasting. We had to blast. We had to blast quite a substantial portion of the rock to be able to dualize the carriageway. Okay, and I'm tempted to believe that that may have aggravated the situation more. Okay, and there are techniques. I mean, it doesn't mean that every blasting results in that. This is yes, but there are, if it is done properly. I also know and have learned that if it is done properly, it can prevent such occurrences. However, you cannot also rule the weather conditions. It's raining, the sun is on, and we know the natural process we learned in geography called weathering. It does happen where materials begin to weather as a result of rain and rainfall and sunshine and so on all the time. You see, but I believe that all of these things, certainly you're talking the vibrations, there's traffic and so on. So all of these things contribute, whether infinitesimally or whatever amount, to the movements and so on. As it were, we do have traffic there, and I think it's important for us to find out how to ameliorate the situation. Okay, and like I said, it can be done, and it for the safety of the public. For the safety of the public, I think that we need to take this extremely serious, like an election year, so that we can prevent any untimely situation. If I heard you, I didn't heard you right. You did mention that. The president also uses this route and so on to go to, what do you call it?
Peduasi Lodge.
Peduasi. You see, and I think that it's a serious matter. Of course, our president, and of course, this is not to say that all the other people using it are not important, but we need to, as a matter of urgency, fix this route. And I did hear Nana talk about the fact that we need the alternative route. It's true. I went on the Ketasi road. It's extremely bad. It's not. I'm not sure it takes. I tried a portion of it. It takes just a long time. The road is extremely bad. I know it's under construction and so on, but whatever it is, I think we need as a people to get serious, because whatever we are doing is for Ghanaians. And we don't take safety matters, as serious and as urgent in this country. And all we do is to count how many people die and how many people got hurt and how many people did what. Other countries are doing everything they can
to prevent
if it is possible to protect road deaths.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. I'm going to take a break here, and then when I come back, I don't know if you've noticed the bridge from a bridge going down to Somenya. So that's a Dukrom going down.
Yes.
It's even worse than this one. However, I haven't heard anybody raise it. I've mentioned it a couple of times that when it rains, you see the amount of loose soil that's been washed because the rocks have been removed. That's another one that we need to keep an eye on. When we come back from the break, I think the Naya Akoda would also join us. He's also a safety expert, and hear what he says. Hello, we're talking about health, we're talking about safety, we're talking about dangers around the corner, and most importantly, how to stop it, how to discipline ourselves, and particularly the rocks on the Ebri Road, which is beginning to move and slide. A human activity around there which does not add up. Nana, when you go past the Kropon, you get to a Dukrom, and now you're making your descent, it takes you to Somenya. It is 10 times worse than what's happening here. But only that there, it's not the rock slide, it's more of a mudslide.
Yes.
Now you notice it when it's raining, the amount of earth that is coming with the rain.
Yes.
You can clearly tell how much rock has been moved and the erosion coming up. And for the last 3 years, I've always said it that one day more sand than necessary might come down. But again, the proverbial Ghanaians that we are, probably Yediamanyame, I don't know.
Yes. It's not near the presidential palace. Even the one that is close to the presidential palace, we look on and allow people to do stone mining there. So there's so many places where it's a bit far, it's tucked away. Yes. So where there's look, if you come to Western Region, my area, what you're seeing here is just child's play. You have terrible roads out there. Driving on them is like it's a tractor the roads were made for tractors and stuff like that. Yet these are high. No, I take some pictures when I'm driving, and when I show you that this is the international West African highway to La Côte d'Ivoire, which is an international highway. You see the roads, the conditions so appalling.
Generally, it boils down to health and safety. What is it that makes us not identify with health and safety? Because I thought that every human being's instinct was to protect life.
Yeah.
You whatever it is, let me protect life after I can sort out the problem. But we don't seem to connect with that.
No, I think it's our knowledge base. You see, in the scheme of things, when the president is appointing advisors, have you ever heard a president appointing a safety advisor?
No.
No. So it's not part of our knowledge base. So you must have a safety advisor. And these days, the way of doing things, technology, everything pivots around safety, health and safety, and the environment, of course, in the background. Mm-hmm. But here, we do things. I mean, like the president went to cut sod for the circle interchange. Mm-hmm. And this, if really health and safety is paramount, we would have heard 18 months ahead of time how the traffic management system is going to be put in place, how they're going to put systems, and they will educate the public. There will be you hear on the airwaves, both electronic, print media, and all that. But have you heard anything? All we heard is that the president has gone to cut sod, and then the project is starting. Even already, I heard there were some trenches that had been dug already, and people were falling in them, near where Mantrak,
I see.
Yes, already, yes. So where is the HSC, health and safety? We don't seem to bother about health and safety. But everywhere, even in Burkina Faso, they embrace health and safety. Why can't we do same in Ghana? Because we don't really value health and safety.
Is it because it's too expensive?
Nothing can be expensive more than human life. Human life and what else can be more expensive than human life? We pay out money to do frivolous things. But what really will safeguard the life of Ghanaian? We don't seem to care. There's so many things that you see going around in the environment. And one wonder, is it Ghana that have sent a lot of engineers and managers to the Ivy Leagues in this America and all that? They've come back and they are running the system? You wonder.
I mean, one would then ask that, highway authority, these rocks are not granite, therefore they are loose.
Yes.
This road was constructed 10 years ago. We don't have the money. So, I mean, with 10 years, even if, and I think it's about only three miles from top to bottom.
Yeah, if that.
3 miles.
Yes, that.
So even if every year we did half a mile off your wire mesh and your
the gabions.
The gabions. The engineer also mentioned it.
Yes.
And then put creeping plants on it.
There are a lot of engineering tools that you can use to address them. But you see, it has to be part of your scope. If it was not scoped to be done, how do you think of doing it? Because probably at the time, because it was just an economic road, the road itself was not the main thing. The whole emphasis was on Peduasi Lodge. So probably it kicked in because you couldn't refurbish Peduasi Lodge. And when you go in, you have VVIP or high diplomats going up there. And they were going to use that deplorable road that existed at that time. So I think it was just purely an afterthought. So whatever funds that they had, they thought, okay, let's do what we can do. So it's just a purely economic road. I
have Nanaya Wakwada, who's the Executive Director, Bureau of Public Safety. Nanaya, good evening.
Good evening, Nana Kwao.
Yeah, today I couldn't drag you out of your house, but it's okay. Nana, there's a danger looming, and that's the Abri Hills, and I'm sure you know something about it. I mean, why have we left it till now, and what can we do?
Well, Nana, let me say good evening, rather late good evening to your viewers. Basically, as a people, we have somehow decided to do ourselves in time and time again. Look, we have laws in this country. I mean, just make reference to the EPA Act 490, Section 13. It empowers the board of the Environmental Protection Agency, where it considers that activities of an undertaking poses a threat to the environment or to public safety, to intervene and even stop such acts. Why hasn't the Environmental Protection Agency gone in to do this? My understanding is that the condition has been there for some time now. Why haven't they done that? If people are undertaking economic activities there and it is impacting negatively on public safety, they have every right to move in there and intervene and stop it. You understand? Secondly, we have a national occupational safety and health policy, which is now gathering dust at the office or at the Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. In this policy, the number 2 of the general objectives indicates that it wants to ensure the safety, health, and well-being of persons at work, as well as other persons not at work, but who may be affected by the activities of at work through tripartite and bipartite collaboration and cooperation. If this policy is passed, at least we will know that the agencies that exist have teeth to bite, and if they are not taking such people on or such conditions on, we can take them on. But in a situation where the EPA has become dormant in this very dangerous situation, and then we also do not have any national occupational policy that defines for us a framework or a guide as to how to approach some of these things, I'm very sorry, but as a people, we will continue to be engaged in such platitudes from time to time. It's about time, and I'm very happy that multimedia group, both Multi TV and Joy, have taken some of these issues up. We believe, I hope, that the people who move Ghana are listening, and it's about time that they move in to sort such things for the populace, because indeed that is why they are paid and that is why they are where they are.
Nana, thank you very much for that contribution. That was very insightful. I didn't even think about it. The EPA.
Yes.
I mean, they should be moving in there immediately to protect other residents of such activity.
Their mandate is captured in their name, isn't it? Environmental Protection Agency. So if there's something like that for them to do, who have to prompt them? They have to be very, very, very proactive to do what they have to do. But it seems it's not. Sometimes it's not their fault. A lot of these state agencies, they just collect their pay, and they have no tools to work. Mm-hmm. They have no tools to work with. So, like a classic example, the National Road Safety Commission, they are supposed to coordinate and promote safety on the roads and stuff like that. And
I don't know. I wonder how hard it's going to be to call probably the Abri police to say, listen, there's some dangerous activity going down the hill, so move a couple of men in and stop them. I mean, these are not really armed, dangerous robbers. And I'm sure even if you have 5 policemen or 10 policemen to move down there, you could put a stop to it.
Yes, an average Ghanaian can do that without any prompting. But what is the role of the police? I mean, when you see a wrongdoing going on, you take action. I mean, one time I saw somebody doing something wrong, and when I went, it was a white company. When I went to stop them, they were working at height, and what they were doing was not really up to scratch. So when I went to stop them, he said I should bring my certificate to show that I have the requisite competence to stop them. I said, if a policeman sees somebody committing a crime and he's in Mufti, does he have to go and put on his crown to come and announce that, hey, I'm arresting you because I'm a policeman? And that is the attitude that we carry on in this country. So until all of us, are vigilant and we bend over a little, we assert ourselves a little more this country will be a better place. But it seems nobody cares. I mean, each one for himself and God for us all. And that is what is happening. The police, who, when they see a crime being committed, instead of, they say they want somebody to come and do a complaint. What is the role of a policeman?
That's it's a difficult one, isn't it?
Yes. So,
I mean, so in this case, what would I come to complain? That somebody's taking Ghana's land? Or
those winning there, if the police see them that what they're doing is wrong, they should arrest them. But they want somebody to go and make a complaint before they go and arrest them. And last time I even heard that on Joy, I heard that Legon police station. Was it you who was saying?
I think so.
That they said they don't take complaints.
So they drove the complainant away.
Yes.
You know, that was a very, very sad story. Legon police station, shame on you. Somebody gets robbed, came to the police station, and you drove her away in the middle of the night. Can you imagine that? I can't help you because we don't take complaints, and you refuse to even give a number to for her to even call for assistance.
Policeman to assist.
You know, so it transcends to how many policemen have driven up and down this hill, seen the stones on the side, and not done anything because probably nobody came to make a complaint. But that is a dangerous attitude that we all do. But I think we have to take this conversation further. Ministry of Roads and Highways are saying they are having their press conference tomorrow, and then after that they will speak to us. So when they do, we'll go to them and get an answer, and hopefully we'll have some good news for you. But let me say thank you very much for responding to my call, Nana.
It's a pleasure.
Yes, but I need you back so we talk about road traffic.
Yes.
So I'm committing you on air.
Okay.
So we need you back so we can talk about road traffic and how we can all collectively...
The causal factors that are there, how we can remove them and get sensitize the road.
So I will need you so that we talk about that, so we do some health and safety. But my name is Nana Asaka, and we're looking at how we can make ourselves more disciplined and to keep ourselves more safe. And thank you very much, Magnus Kwashi, who joined us on the phone. Thank you to Hans, who is also a resident there, who also joined us on the phone, and Nanaya Wakwada, Executive Director, Bureau of Public Safety. He also joined us on the phone. Tomorrow we'll be back to do it all over again. As I always say, have a good evening.